script part 3. Here it is. So bearing in mind, this looks really complicated and it's probably unnecessarily complicated, but I get these ideas and I have to kind of pursue them. So this is like step 3. So what you need to know is Eucalyptus is running the show. And as a result of Eucalyptus, I've got this obviously 4x4, so 16 pads of similar sounds that are not similar sounds, that are 4 banks of similar sounds. So on pad 1 here, that's a kick. So there's different kicks all the way through there. Same with hi-hats and snares. Then I've got atmospheric sounds. I've got some sort of shakers and percussion. Then I've got glitchy noises. Got 2 different types of bass. And then bits of vocals. There's an effect on that channel. There's effect on lots of channels. I'll play you what they sound like without the effects on, then I'll put the effects on. And up in here we've got just some crackle. So that's the basic setup. Now, obviously it's not quite as basic as that because we've got different choke groups. So all the vocals are on choke 4, bass is 3, glitchy noises are on 1, percussives are here on 1 and 2, snare isn't on 1, kick isn't 1, hat isn't 1, and Atmos is on 6. So 5, 4, 3, 1, 2, 1, and 6. Because it was an afterthought. Right, so they're all rattling away. Now they're all taken out to their own channels. The only difference is that the kick and the snare are out to a channel. Most of the rest are kind of similar sounds. So the kick gets its own channel. So if we solo just the kick, there's the kick. Now, kick brought a friend along in the form of sidekick. So on sidekick, that's getting triggered just by that note. So C2, the very first pad, is triggering this. So you MIDI in there, and that makes the sidekick. So without sidekick, go back to that again. And with sidekick, go back to that again. So you get that kind of swell underneath it. So that's the simple bits. Now in Atom, that's where those are sequenced. So here we go. These ones here, you can see, these are the kick, hat, and snare. Now also down here, move that across so you can see, is the atmospheric. And they change every bar, as you can see. Same with the shakers, they're on every bar, and then there's the other percussive bits that have got different things in between. Also here are the... kind of latches on forever because I've got it all looped and things. I'll go through that again in a second as well. So, as well as that, we've just got the bass. And then atmospherics. Now you can see, because it's chromatic, you can see I've got a gap of 2 here. That's glitchy noises. More glitchy noises up there, and this is the vocal bits. Just go to those. Turn the effects off, and then you can hear that a bit better.
3, 1, 2, 4.
So, vocals and percussion, they're not being triggered by Atom. And the reason they're not being triggered by Atom is, if you can see in here, I've got 2 more instances of Mosaic feeding into the Eucalyptus Mosaic. And what they're doing is they're running the Turing Machine. And the Turing Machine, on one of them, it's playing all these bits. Not the bass, but those 2 glitches and the 3 vocal bits. So you can see the range here is 5. Probabilities on like lots. And it's just going to trigger them whenever it feels like. And in addition to that, we're doing the same thing with the other glitchy bits. So you can see the range is 2, starts at F2 sharp. And that is down here. And it spreads for 2 notes, so it's that note and the one above. So then we've got 2 generative sequences and 1 sort of regular rigid sequence underpinning in it. And they're all going through Eucalyptus, so that whatever's happened to the first page is happening across all 4 pages, or 4 banks, I should say. Only thing to add apart from that is the various effects. So obviously nothing on the kick. The snare and the hat obviously going through Altispace, because I love spring reverb, so that's going through there. The atmospherics going through other desert cities, like a odd sort of multi-headed tape kind of thing. Then I've got the percussion going through Scatterbrain. I've just got that kind of broken up. You can see how it's flicking in between, so it smashes the loops up. It doesn't really matter where they trigger, because Scatterbrain's going to chop them up. And there's lots of deviation, bits of re-triggering and stuff like that. That's on every 8th, as you can see. Then there's a bit of panning going on there. That's the filter, sorry. So there's a bit of filtering going on there as well. I was looking at this one for the panning. So we've got a pan station on the glitches. And obviously wow as well. That's got a sort of a stepped filter on there, just to add some kind of bit of interest. The bass has got WOOTT on it, because why would you not? Vocals, more filter station, more pan station, and ReelBus acting as an effect, so it's adding echo to that. And then the crackles just spread off to the side. Drum bus has got my usual, so obviously we've got FAC transient, bit of bit juggler, and the almighty cello tape model. Then we've got, those are going into effectively the master bus, which is where Psychic is, and then I've got Pro L limiting that. And then the last one's obviously the mic that I'm using. So let's mute everything and build it all up one by one so that you can see what it's doing. So I'll start with just the wax crackle on. So if I press play, you can hear the kick drum from Sidekick and the wax crackle. So on top of that, I'll bring in the Atmos. See, that's what it sounds like without other desert cities on. And that's what it sounds like with. I'll do the same with the percussion. So the percussion comes in. A bit of panning on. A bit of filter rather. And then Scatterbrain. So it's just having like textural elements really. Do the same with the glitch next. So this is what it sounds like without anything on. And with wow. And then panning and just spread it around. Let's bring in the voice before I bring the bass in.
3,
but you can tell what it's kind of saying there. Bit of echo, bit of panning, but then I've got the filter on it. Kind of wanted to decimate it so there's very little bits of some audible kind of semi-human bits of it's like speak and spell, so it's not completely human anyway, but it gives you like an odd little element in there. And then we've got the bass. So then just the drums that are missing. So hopefully that kind of explains the whole setup. Like I say, it's a bit weird. There's chirp groups and bits and pieces stopping things from kind of colliding. But ultimately, to me, it feels like the next logical kind of step on as to where we can take Eucalyptus, or where I can take Eucalyptus. There's loads more that I could have done, and probably, hopefully, will do. But in theory, this is like part 3. This is where we're at now. Hope it was useful, informative, fun, not dull, I don't know, whatever, handy. See you on the next one.